Okay, well, it's 9 o'clock, past couple minutes. Let's call to order the Scenic and Wild Rivers Advisory Board. And this time, the members we have here, we have Randy, Roger, Beth, myself, and Jeff.
And me.
That is.
And me.
Yeah.
And Sierra. Yeah, no worries.
All right, so I guess we have enough here to conduct business. This time, we'll look for our agenda and see if we have any concerns or corrections or improvement of the agenda. Do you have anybody have any additions? I guess the one thing the agenda coming out is the hearing in April is no longer on the third, it's just one day, and I think that's correct.
It's just on the second?
It's on the second.
Okay, good. Okay.
Any other additions or deletions? Right, we're also going to hear from Commissioner Tishnell. I think he'll be speaking shortly. Yes. Do that. Sort of any other things that we need to talk about? How's everything in Florida, Randy? Can you hear us, Randy?
Oh, let me turn on that microphone. That would help.
Sierra, could you turn up the volume just a little bit?
I will try, yes.
Hello, Randy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, we was just checking. We wanted to know how things were in Florida.
Oh, they're warm.
Turn up the volume.
That's good. All right, so, hearing no other, additions or deletions from the, minute or the agenda, do I hear a motion to approve? Make that motion. Okay, with the agenda. Roger, second. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, so approved. Okay, previous minutes. Any additions, deletions?
Let's see here. I think I need a formatting change to unfinished business and new business. Just needs on the next line. I've noticed 2 periods in the DNR corridor mapping updates, and then under draft letter, Roger mentioned that I misspelled like his first and last name. So I'll make a correction to those.
Anything else? Motion, please. Motion to approve. I'll make the motion. Okay, motion by Seth. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right, at this time, if anybody would like to make public comment, we would entertain that at this time. And Larry, can you wait just a second, or you want to? Would you like to make your comments first?
I'd like to leave as quick as I can.
Okay, Larry. Go ahead, Larry.
I don't want to disrupt your meeting.
Go ahead, Larry.
All right, thank you. I appreciate letting me do this, and definitely appreciate you gentlemen serving on this board and losing attendance here. So thank you for that. The commissioners, we talked yesterday, and we feel there's a little bit of misconception about the board and the responsibilities and so forth. So I'm going to read something here, and then I'll try to answer questions if you have them. And let you know where we're coming from. So, it says back in the Garrett County Youghiogheny River Advisory Board was established in accordance with the Scenic and Wild Rivers Review Board. And that's section 8403B-3, with the advice and consent of the appropriate local governing body. A local scenic and wild river advisory board for each river that is included in the Scenic and Wild Rivers program. Upon approval of the Scenic and Wild Rivers Management Plan in 1996, the then Board of County Commissioners chose to leave the Youghiogheny River Advisory Board in place as permitted in the Act. Each board is constituted by the local authority, may recommend policies, laws, and regulations in furtherance of the aims of this subtitle to the appropriate local governing body. The Youghiogheny River Advisory Board did not meet until the replacement of the Swallow Falls Bridge became an issue. After a public meeting conducted by DNR, there was a request for the Youghiogheny River Advisory Board to convene. The advisory board met and made a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. The question now is, what function does the Youghiogheny River Advisory Board perform? The board has no functions to perform for Garrett County. We believe the state of Maryland has a Scenic and Wild River Review Board, and any recommendations concerning the Youghiogheny River should be made directly to the state board. Now, having said all that, the only thing that the county commissioners are involved with is the appointment of the board, simply because you're in Garrett County, the office in Garrett County, and we were asked to appoint that board. You gentlemen, I don't know, I think you've served on it for quite a few years. I'm not sure just how long each of you have been on it. That's really the only function that we have in this board. Any recommendations or anything that you come up with should be addressed to the DNR or the state review board. That's where we're coming from. So if you have any questions about that, I'll try to answer them. If not, I'll try to get you there. Yes, sir.
I think the county commissioners knew about this request for SB 837 way before anybody found out about it. And you were working with Deep Creek Lake stakeholders, and the DNR became involved. And there was even a request for MDE. But what I'm getting at is, nobody told Friendsville or the Whitewater community or any of the other stakeholders that this was going on until we found out 1 week before this actual Senate bill committee hearing was going to happen in Annapolis. I can see this body, getting any and all correspondences having to do with the lake, and it's connected to the river.
Lake levels now, not
Levels.
Fall Bridge.
Right,
Okay.
lake levels.
Yeah.
And it's you can't disseminate the two between each other. I mean, the lake is connected to the river. And so if something comes up with the lake, especially with water levels and the river, it seems to me that whenever anything like that happens, it should go to this board who can see if it has an effect on the Scenic and Wild River, and at the earliest possible moment, not 1 week before a Senate, hearing.
I don't disagree with that. I didn't have any control over that, neither did the other.
Well, that's because there's a structure that's missing. You guys got a request from one lake stakeholder to hold the lake levels lower for an extended period of time in the winter. That's major for the river. That's a major river thing, and it just stayed hidden. I know you had some meetings and stuff that may very well have been publicized, but you know, me nor none of my friends or nobody in Friendsville obviously know how to make the connection on some kind of you know, an announcement in the newspaper that there's such a meeting. And it has, so anyway, this committee can disseminate whether or not it affects the river. That's a purpose. that
I think that's the purpose of this committee.
Yeah.
And, to be quite frank with you all, as a committee, you can meet as much or as little as you like. I mean,
Well, you know, we really appreciate that, but, you know, I don't want to interrupt you very much here. But, you know, this board is a county board. Okay. We have been, you mentioned we didn't meet, okay? We didn't meet because we weren't given any information, but, we were always here, and we are an advisory board. We made some, in the meeting over the bridge, we made a recommendation. I don't think we heard one word from the county as to whether we acknowledge your, our recommendation. You know, we're here to head off the things that he just spoke about and talk about it and get it out in the open. If we get the information after the fact, and I get that feeling from a lot of people in the county, that the information comes to this board and is recently over the bridge, but we never receive any information that's going on in the corridor, and I'm pretty sure DNR and the county could make that available to us, and we could have talked about it. And, you know, we were a state advisory board, and the management plan was put in effect. Now we are a county, and I think in the management plan, we are given more than we can just meet anytime we want and talk about things. We need to be able to present it to the county. The county needs to accept whether, you know, they're valid or not. And, you know, we'd like to be actually helpful, not in, you know.
but I think you're still a state board, though. You're a county appointed board, but you're actually a state.
Okay, that, whether we are a state or county, we are your board. We are your board. And, so, I think we need to be treated as such, and we need to interface with, concerns that come up in the county concerning the yacht corridor. You know, for however many, since '96, really things were seemingly going along pretty smooth. Now this has popped up. Well, you know, that's,
As far as the, Salt Falls Bridge, it's not been commissioners, we've been trying to get that bridge replaced, and for many different reasons, it's been stalled and stalled and stalled.
right. Well, you know, we can understand that, for the fact, you know, we hear about monies and we have to do it according to federal regulations and state regulations and all that. You know, you put the bridge across Deep Creek Lake at Mayhew Inn Road. Very nice job. You did a very nice job on it. We weren't involved, but it serves the purpose of what is needed there. It looks good. When you travel up the Oakland Center Road, you did a good job. You also did a good job at Boyd's Run, with what was needed there. Right now, the Swallow Falls Bridge seems like it really got blown out of proportion. You know, that's my personal, this is not the board speaking, this is me, but,
Mine too, and right down to that.
well, you know, is the true fault of Petito said, if the county withdrew their request, that they made, to DNR, that all this would go away. So the county commissioners are in control of that bridge in the new alignment. And I understand there's things to be considered there, pro and con with the new alignment. But also, we're thinking, the board, I'm sure, is thinking about preserving, and, you know, we have different zones in the corridor. Where the bridge is zone 1, the most restrictive, you know, and or are we cutting hairs over cutting trees? I don't think we are. I think we're trying to live up to what is in the management plan. So it's never got to be discussed. You know, we're discussing it now and, you know, it needs to be in the open, not after the fact. Go ahead.
Commissioner, if I could just respond, I'm very familiar with the legislative intent, of course, because I helped write the law. And I'm familiar with the management plan and the fact that the Garrett County has the only wild portion of the Scenic and Wild Rivers Act. And for that reason alone, it seems to me that the advisory board ought to be advising you. Now, remember, it's advisory. You don't have to take their advice, but the point is they should be advising you, in my opinion. And when you look at the corridor, you not only have state-owned property in that corridor, you have private property there. And in fact, about 30 or 40% of the wild corridor is private property. So for that reason alone, the property owners need to be protected. You were the one, thank goodness, at the July 10th meeting that clarified who was going to call the meeting to order of the advisory board. There was conflict, you know, DNR said it's not ours. The county has been saying up until you made a comment, it's not ours. So the point is nothing happened. And then you very courageously, I think, got up and said, well, I'm going to call the meeting. I'm going to call the board to meet, you know, and the appointments were made by you all. I really think that because of the nature of the wild corridor itself and the fact that we went to that circus in trails about 1.5 years ago, and the county is providing money to Garrett Trails. There's state money in the trail program. And I just think this advisory board is extremely important, Commissioner, and should be meeting when they feel like it.
I mean, we discussed this yesterday, literally. We feel that this board should be at your discretion. I don't think, we're not going to tell you when to meet.
When we're going back to the management plan, the way I read it in the management plan, we can call a meeting, you can call a meeting, and DNR can call meetings. That's the way it is. So, you know, like I say, several things happened here recently, and we came to light basically. But we've always been here. We've always been appointed as a full board. We weren't given any information to work with. So, and if we make a recommendation, it'd be nice to hear back. Well, you know, we take the recommendation under advisement. We don't feel this is correct or that's correct or whatever. You know, we get completely ignored.
Well, I don't know that you're ignored, but I will say that probably, and this is me, this is not the other two committees. I know I probably disagreed with how you all feel about the bridge. I'm trying to look at it as what's best for all the residents of the county. You said it, there's a lot of people that own property along that, but there's some people that it's going to affect more than others. I'm a farmer, and I know a farmer that's going to
So he's going to suffer.
he's going to suffer for. If that bridge is just taken out and not a new one put in, and that bridge is taken out to put the new bridge in, it's going to hurt him tremendously. I mean, financially, it's tremendously going to hurt him.
Okay, well, you know, I was raised on a dairy farm. I'm very familiar with, at the time, we had one of the larger farms in the county. Dairy farming is tough, very tough.
It is.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, you know, he is one person. Maybe there's ways that we could help him out. Maybe there's something we can talk about, you know, and just saying, you know, one farmer is going to suffer tremendously. You know, the way they're building the bridge now seems pretty excessive. I mean, that's, again, my feeling, you know.
I'm kind of disturbed that, from my understanding, we were supposed to be, I thought, redesigning this bridge at 28 feet. Now it's 36. I'm not sure about that, but I haven't seen the new plans yet. We haven't looked at it. But I'd like to keep it as small a footprint as possible. I don't want to see, I'm on the forestry board, so I don't want to see a lot of trees cut. But on the other hand, my concerns are about the people, about the safety of the people, fire trucks getting through, emergency vehicles getting through. Having to go around, I mean, those are concerns to me. And, I just, you know, whether it ends up that the old bridge is taken out and a new one putting in, or a new bridge is in and then the old one taken out, I'm still going to be adamant that I feel, and this is me, that I feel it should be the new bridge put in and I know there's, and I think your recommendation was totally different than that, and I respect that. I respect it. I respect all your opinions, but I think we should.
I have
Sure.
a question. And it goes back to that last paragraph that you had in your letter that you read from the other commissioners. It sounded like, and you read it quick, and I maybe didn't catch it all, but that you all don't want to hear from us as a board, that we should report to DNR.
We feel that you should report to DNR.
And the assistant secretary told us that we
We
report to you,
So
so
I didn't mean it to sound that we don't want to hear from you. We feel that DNR is the governing body here, not us. That's our opinion. I know you're a county appointed board, but DNR is not going to appoint that board. So they don't know the people. They want us to appoint them. And
but they told us that we're an advisory board to the county, so I almost feel like I'm wasting time.
Well, I'll tell you, I was at the last meeting of the advisory board when the management plan was accepted in 1996. And they basically gave us a chicken dinner and told us, we appreciate the time and the effort you spent over the last 10 years. And you are now a board that belongs to the county. So we are your board. And when I read the management plan, I can't figure out any other way other than we're the county's advisory board. And, you know, we can meet and discuss information that you have that involves the river and the corridor and the management plan. I think we'd like to do that. We'd like to have some valid input, but and that information can go to DNR also. But you know, we are your advisory board. We are.
And I personally want to hear from you. Jeff, I really hope you don't feel that we don't want to hear from you. I think your recommendations are valid. Like I say, we might not all agree on everything, but that's the purpose of this board, is to dig into the deep waters and see what's there. And as far as the lake levels, I don't know what impact that's going to have on whitewater rafting. I don't know. And hopefully you all can shed some light on that. And hopefully you'll do it in an unbiased manner. I think you will. That, you know, listen to all all the stakeholders and see what, conclusions you need to draw from that. And, you know, there again, this bill passes, I don't, the commissioners are gonna have any say in that at all. We certainly weren't aware, or at least I wasn't, on that part. Right, I can't speak for them. I wasn't aware this bill was going in until I started hearing about it.
Nobody was aware, but that's the problem.
I'm not saying that,
That's highlighting the purpose of this
well,
group. Anything and everything having to do with lake levels, and river, they should find out about it at the earliest
that's
possible
why
moment.
we feel that you all should meet at your discretion, whether it's once a year, once every 5 years, or once a month.
Well, seems like, I don't know if this board, this bill, that's put in Senate Bill 837. Where did it come from? Was it the Property Owners Association of the lake? I'm not sure. I mean,
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, you know, it was my understanding that the foundation approached the county commissioners back in November and asked them to present this bill to Jim McKay, or asked Jim McKay to present the bill.
Jim Heinball or Mike McKay.
Well,
Both of them like
the foundation approached the commissioners, is what I've heard, all three of you guys, in November, and asked that the commissioners ask Jim McKay to present this bill, to put a bill in to change the water levels or hold the water level down lower in the lake so they could present this study. And as Jesse stated earlier, foundation had already gone to MDE to go through the proper process of having a triennial review. MDE apparently looked at their science and said, no, this is not valid. You guys also had the chance back when we were negotiating the permit in 2020 to present this, and they didn't do it. And because of the nature of this permit, it's only a 12-year permit, but each time it goes through the permitting process, it takes longer and longer with more stakeholders getting involved and slowing the process up. And the original permit should have been in place by 2021. And it really didn't hit until about 2022, possibly early 23. So it took a couple of years to get the whole permit ironed out where all the stakeholders agreed and stuff. And with the new permit, there were a lot of new changes from the last one that kind of put handcuffs on Brookfield, who's the major stakeholder. For one, is now they're required to have full lake 2461 elevation by the 1st of May. For the last 2 years, because of weather conditions, climate change, all that stuff, they've had a really hard time getting the lake to that level at that point in the year. Also with this new change is they cannot do any discretionary power releases unless they are at the upper rule band during the whitewater season, which is April 15th to October 15th. So that prevents them from making money, you know, when they have a big full lake. They know a rain event's coming, they have to wait until the water's in the lake where they can let go of it. So with this bill circumventing the whole process of getting all the stakeholders involved, you know, it changes the permit that we negotiated, took forever to negotiate, makes it harder for Brookfield, the major stakeholders, to make a living, make money, because if the lake is down super low in the November, December timeframe, what they want, they may lose the ability to be able to generate when needed, which can cost them money, because they have to pay in, or not pay in, but they sign into PJM, the power grid, for like a 3-year period. So they've already signed a contract with PJM that says we can generate this much electricity to 2027. And if this bill does pass and goes through and then they don't get a full lake, then they're going to be penalized. So there's a lot involved here. And it's like, you know, all the stakeholders need to be involved. And when they presented it to you guys back in November, that's when it should have been brought to our attention. that said, hey, this is what these guys are trying to do, instead of pulling an end around the county. So we would like to be kept involved in the process.
I might add to that end around idea. By not going through MDE, on this lake level thing they want to do, the SAVs, by not going to MDE, they circumvented the access to scientists and hydrologists and mathematicians that MDE provides to the town of Friendsville. And we don't have that resource. Maybe the lake does. I know they have an engineer working on their lake levels, but Friendsville doesn't. MDE is our engineers and protective agency for our whitewater resource, which is important to us. It's an opportunity, and it provides, economic benefits. This going straight to legislate and going around MDE just totally excludes Friendsville. And to not have the county or DNR who knew about this early on, to not have our backs and provide information that this could affect you, on an early notification. That means everything, and circumventing MDE is the worst thing. That's our resource.
If I could add to that too, and I don't represent anybody, I'm a property owner above the river, but I don't represent anybody. When this bill took place, I called Senator McKay directly and asked him where it came from. He said it came from the commissioners. MDE opposed the bill, and DNR wouldn't take a position on the bill, when the hearing was held in Annapolis in both the House and the Senate. So this is a bill that came from special interests that nobody knows anything about, except that the commissioners, according to Senator McKay, asked that the bill be put in. And he even used the term by request. He said by request of the county commissioners, and that's Senator McKay. So, the thing is, it's obviously a mishmash. The bill should have never been put in. As a private citizen, I asked that the bill be withdrawn because it's a lousy bill. If you read it, it's a lousy bill. McKay, as of Monday, I talked to him again on Monday and I said, are you going to withdraw the bill? He said, no, that's fine. That's his prerogative. I said, are you going to accept any amendments to the bill to make it stronger? And he said, we have not, there are no amendments at this point, is what he told me. And that's as of Monday. So that's what I know from the senator. And any of you all are welcome to call him and ask.
I really can't comment on that. I can't say yes or no, but I don't know that we asked him to put a bill in. Well,
Commissioner, maybe you can ask the administrator or the other commissioners, because according to him,
Kevin's.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Well, I like a free ranging discussion, we've asked the commissioners about our authority and I think we should keep our discussion, if this is a part of the public comment period, the way we've run the meetings and the way our agenda is set up, that people have 3 minutes to have their open discussion. And, I like a free ranging discussion as much as anybody, but I think the meeting should stick to the agenda, and I think it's the most critical issue here, in my mind, is that we have, thank goodness, Commissioner Tichenor has come, and we wanted to know from whence our authority comes. So let's spend some time on that. I think Senate Bill, whatever the number is important. I'm not in disagreement with any of the discussion. But let's get back to the meeting.
well, we definitely appreciate Commissioner Tichenor to come by and Sort of asked him to be on the agenda because he came in earlier and said he'd like to present some points in the position of the commissioners. I don't know how we establish a better relationship between this board and the commissioners. It appears we don't have much of a relationship. And,
I think right now, Tom, I think the issue here is, you know, you have recommendations. I think you give them to us. And if, quite frankly, if one of you want to come into a commissioner meeting and make comments, you're always welcome to do that.
is there any chance that the commissioners will keep us updated on things that are happening that concern the
I think we'll definitely
management
not play
plan?
it on now because I think there's been a lack there. And, you know, this, to me, you're a new group. You know, you've been around forever until the Swallow Fall Bridge. You were non-existent, basically. We, you know, I didn't even, I know that at some point in time, I think it's every 5 years, I think your term for 5 years, but at some point in time, we reappointed you all or appointed some new, whatever. But other than that, you know, I really didn't know what your purpose was.
You know, the management plan, I think is
I know a little bit more here recently, a lot more.
May I say something? So it seems like, I don't know, to me, the corridor, it has more DNR land in it than it did in 1996. And there's some, you know, like the commissioners and DNR seem like they want to change like the management style of the corridor. I think the management plan could be updated to reflect these changes, and that would, I don't know, I've been harping on updating a 30-year-old plan for a couple months, but I feel like this just on like the coordination efforts, I think would be worthwhile. So I don't know if that's something we should pass along to DNR and then we can rectify, like, if there is an advisory board, then maybe we can hash that out in the plan. Because the point of the plan is you can update plans. The law is harder to change, or the regulations are harder to change, but that's my
I'll leave-
opinion.
I'll leave you with this thought. Call another meeting, you want one of us to be here, let us know, we'll definitely plan for someone to come in. Paul planned on coming today, and he had another commitment, asked me to come in, and so I didn't, you know, I felt it was important that one of us be here.
We definitely appreciate you coming by, and in the future, it would be nice if somebody sat in. I think we could develop a relationship here, but things have definitely got out of hand, I think. And
So thank you all. Any other questions?
Could I have your piece of paper?
Huh?
No.
Thank you. Thanks all.
Thank you for joining us, Larry. I appreciate that. Make my notes easier.
No, that's very.
Thank you. We're still on the comments. I think we've made enough on the Senate bill. And anybody have any different aspects that they want to mention?
I would like to read off of I represent the town of Brentsville.
Yes.
If you don't, I mean, there's nobody else.
Yeah, okay. Look, definitely, okay.
Okay. I might be repeating some stuff we already talked about, but I have other points I want to. My name is Jeff Whittemore. I've lived in the town of Brentsville for around 45 years. I served on the town council for a combined 20 years. And present council trusts me with their Yough River as their Yough River liaison. Town of Brentsville is against the passage of A37 and House Bill 910. It could easily have a negative effect on Whitewater Dam releases to the towns, as the dam operator, Brookfield Power and MDE, have made clear to the town of Brentsville, especially on spring drought years, Brookfield sent an email and phone call to me. I called Robert Peebles with MDE, who reiterated Brookfield's concern. Whitewater leases would be at risk, especially in drought spring event occurrences. Friendsville highly values economic and social opportunities and benefits of whitewater releases. We depend on the scheduled whitewater release for tourism and our growing population of whitewater enthusiast citizens within the town and throughout Garrett County and Deep Creek Lake. Risking an uninterrupted schedule of dam releases is highly undesirable to us, as it's happened on several drought years without the influence of this new upper rule ban imposed in the winter months. MDE denied the foundation's request for lack of supportive evidence. That was for holding the lake level low at a certain time of the year. In 2013, the DNR convened an expert panel to help develop a treatment plan for SAVs, primarily hydrolia. They considered lake drawdown at that time and found it ineffective. So that means this bill really isn't going to help the problem that it's supposed to, according to the DNR.
I don't want to interrupt you here, but hey, Randy, can you hear?
Yes,
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure that you could hear.
Okay. So, this experiment they want to do that holds the lake levels, that risks our dam releases, probably won't work according to DNR back in 2013. Obviously, the foundation circumvented MDE and solicited local politicians to intervene. We found out today that maybe the commissioners helped them, resulted in the creation of SB 837 with only one stakeholder participation, Deep Creek Lake. Friendsville doesn't have the resources to afford scientists and engineers. MDE and DNR are our resource provided for proving those strengths and considering the protecting of our river resource. 837 circumvents the respectful, lawful, and thorough review of Brookfield's permit impact, as well as impact on other Deep Creek Lake stakeholders, including Friendsville, that MDE review process would have afforded us. Friendsville found out about this bill 1 week before the first legislative committee hearing. If this body is looking for significant purpose, it might consider asking the county for early notification of any entity requesting or concerned for change, alteration, or effect on the river and intrinsically related lake issues, so that the advisory board can reach its effect on the river resource and all stakeholders, not just one, thus providing advice to county officials for notification to all parties. And the town sent a letter of this concern for its river resource. The town is on the border. We're like the gateway to the wild and scenic corridor. Like the major trails go through our town and enter into the scenic and wild river corridor in our town. So, to get earlier notification for anything having to do with that river is very important to us, and, we don't like being held out of the loop. I don't understand why DNR didn't notify. It seems to me it's their responsibility to notify all parties. It seems to me that the county commissioners should notify all parties, but none of that happens. And so that might be something that you guys have a purpose for.
Jesse, thank you. I agree with a lot that you're saying. I feel there is a disconnect between this board and DNR. Yeah, and Jeff's feeling is here that are we useless or are we wasting our time? We don't want to be that way. obviously, we're spending a lot of time on this right now. I think it's a good opportunity for there's only a few of us here to talk. And I think it's important as anything that we're doing. So, you know, we do want to keep the meeting moving along, but I appreciate your points. I think Sierra would love to have your paper there if you can, you can do that, so.
Like notes or whatever.
Yeah, if you want to share them with me, or I can take a picture of them with my
Okay.
phone and I can
Also,
scan it.
you know, if you, I sent, or the town of Friendsville, the mayor sent that letter to the commissioners, who I would think should have immediately given to you guys to see who, you know, because our resource, our major resource is Scenic and Wild Rivers Act. We even call ourselves the Wild and Scenic Capital of Maryland. Okay, that's a motto that the town actually adopted. So we're intrinsically connected with you. You guys are important to the town of Friendsville. Just to let you know.
Hey, thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
Here, I can give that back to you.
Okay.
Don, Larry,
Take
Stu,
picture of it.
and we chatted a little bit before the meeting. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that there is a fairly large group of Garrett County citizens that live on the Swallow Falls side of the bridge, kind of taking us back to the bridge issue a little bit. And many of us use that bridge every day. And, we are in favor of having a bridge there on the road, or at least minimize any shutdown that we have to that bridge. It's not just one farmer that's going to be impacted. It's a large number of people that are going to be impacted by that bridge shutdown. We all agree, I believe, you know, on that side of the bridge, it doesn't need to be as big as as the plan we saw over the summer, but we certainly would like to see something in place. And, you know, we'd like the board to know that, and we'd like the board to take that position into account when you're making recommendations. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you stopping by and commenting.
And it's interesting kind of seeing the dynamic with the county board. I didn't realize the county commissioners and the board was that disconnected. It's I think very possible that you guys can come up with a better relationship with these guys. I would certainly encourage you to invite the commissioners here to every meeting that you have. I think that's a way to make that connection happen.
That'd be great. Wish that did happen. We feel more like we were a part of it.
Right. I can see that there's a need to define what the purpose of the board is and how you're going to operate.
Well, I think the management plan is pretty clear if you read it and study it.
Well, and Sierra kind of answered the question. The other question I had was that I guess that plan's never been updated. I've got the old copy with the blue cover on it, and I always wonder, has that thing ever been updated?
Well,
Because it seems like it would be something that should be updated.
yeah, there's a lot of concerns there when you open the thing up. A lot of things might get updated, you don't want updated. You know, I guess I'm all for talking about it, you know, but,
I'm William O'Neill.
okay,
It doesn't mean anything, but I am a paid land, I'm sorry, a landowner here in Garrett County. I own property on the southern side of that bridge, which is the side that has to use that bridge every day to go north to get to 219. I own 5,230 feet of scenic forward. Half of that distance is in the scenic portion. Half of that distance is in the Wild River portion, so I'm on the dividing line. I've worked for 39 years in that property. That's when my wife and I bought it. I've interfaced with most facets of Garrett County ENR, tax, forestry division. And I want to let you know, on my first meeting with John Denning back in 1987, to a meeting with his successor, Scott Boylan, every time I've gone to that group, they've been fantastic. They've been responsive. Melissa Nash has taken over from Ernie Metz. Ernie, Wade Dorsey, were fantastic people. Melissa, other than being cute, she's a very smart lady and very responsive. She's inspecting my land management program. It's been in effect for a little better than 15 years. It's being renewed for the next 15 years, which puts me in trouble with the tax department, but they're working on it. And she'll come through. I'm sure she will. I have nothing negative to say about anyone I've interfaced with. And I'll be honest with you. I think my most recent exposure with the Curry County Commissioners was successful to the extent Roy White and I finally have come to an agreement as to where that corridor resides, which was surveyed in 1988 on my property, and I agreed to that. I didn't like it. I still don't like it, but I agreed to it. Now that corridor has grown from the 1976 version, from the 1979 version, and the 1986 version of the corridor regulations. It's grown. It's now taking on a atmospheric posture that I had to work about 1.5 years to get my building permit through all of the activity and approval process, which entailed me interfacing with about 10 departments. I got the approval that the house was being built outside of the corridor, meaning the wildlife portion. And the scenic portion is above the wildlife. My house is in the wildlife section. The scenic border stops at Lake Miller's one, whatever you want to call it. But Roy spent about 2 years working with me in the last couple of years in Century Engineering to define that original border line. And today it's completed. He worked his buns off. I cannot say anything negative about the county commissioners. I voted for Larry. I voted for Jim Heinbaugh. I voted for Mr. Savage because I believe they are actually trying to do what I want. As far as the scenic corridor is concerned, I don't have to let anybody on my property. I haven't signed any easements. So I feel I'm in control, but I pay taxes on it. And that involvement is almost 15 acres in that 5,230 feet of Wild River and the scenic corridor. I take care of it. I abide by the 1996 regulations and the books, yay thick. Can't read it. The only thing I can do from a control standpoint is put up a sign every 100 feet. I'm not putting up signs the place would look like Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm not going to do that. But it has not been a major problem. I've had to clean up from kayakers coming down the river. I've never been complained about that. In fact, I've only reported one negative aspect to DNR. But my position basically is I am scared to death. I have to use that Yuck Bridge every day. And I don't mind it if I see an adult walking across the bridge. But I mind it a lot when I see a woman or man bringing toddlers, meaning kids, less than, from the point they're being held by their hand to the point they're following mom, dad, or grandma and grandpa. Scares the heck out of me. I don't like that a little bit, and I want the new bridge put in expeditiously. I put up with standby bridge under the auspice. It was only gonna be in place 5 years. And I thought that was 2011. That meant 2016, that bridge should have been in place. The Garrett County Commissioners took an approach, I assume, to use federal funds to build the bridge versus trying to raise taxes on me. I appreciate that. It's great that state of Maryland residents as a whole are paying for the bridge. State of Maryland probably has, and the residents of it, probably have more pleasure over that bridge than I do. I consider it a necessity, and they consider it a means of getting into the state parks. And there's 2 state parks, one is Fall Falls, and one in Harrington Manor Road. I understand from the August meeting, there's 400 to 500 vehicles trespassing or traversing, is the right word, that bridge every day. And I agree with that. Mainly, most of the people I see coming down the road when I'm trying to exit the driveway, they're coming from the north end, headed toward the state park, and they're going into the state park. I just want to see safety prevail. I want to see it quickly done. I don't want it procrastinated and become an issue of a ball throwing process between bureaucracies. I didn't vote and don't pay taxes for that kind of report. I feel it very disappointing. You guys didn't find out about a bill about the water level being adjusted. That's wrong. You should have found out about the bill when it was submitted to the activity that's going to control it, not after the fact, not notify the public after the fact. I don't appreciate that. I like to know about things as they're happening in real time. To be honest with you, I pay taxes. I love this country. I love this county. The state is okay. I have to put up with Tory Brown and his people in Annapolis. I think they're totally out of touch with Garrett County. But the fact that Garrett County chose to use federal funds, that's their decision. I like the idea that Maryland is as a whole, even the state, are paying for a portion of that bridge. But I understand the position of the county commissioners too. They're trying to satisfy you folks, other folks, landowners like I am. And I have nothing bad to say about DNR. They've been responsive. I think they've been good custodians to an extent. But if somebody were to go back to the meetings of December 6th or the 11th of 2019, I'm sure I'm on record as saying when Sandy came through and caused all the damage she did, we didn't even own a chainsaw to get the trees out of the river. I'm on record with that. The 2 representatives from the county commissioners at that time was a guy named Weitzel and then after Edwards. Those 2 guys were in that meeting. They wanted me to go to Annapolis and make a presentation after saying my piece at that meeting at the Creek Lake. I said, if it's my presentation, if it's your presentation, I don't want any parts of it. I haven't heard a word from Weitzel or Mr. Edwards since. But I appreciate the predicament. I wouldn't want to be a politician for all of the money in the world. But that's my 2 cents for it. I just wish you guys could quickly resolve your issue by getting the information you need to make an advisory or a determination on before the fact, not after the fact. And that's your problem, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it's a county commissioner problem. You guys as representatives like I do, go talk to the departments that receive these bills and get on their list for distribution. And we wouldn't have this abstinence approach. You guys are trying to react after the fact. That a bill's been signed, I guess, and they're gonna lower the river for people. I think that's totally wrong.
Thank you.
I think you guys should be in the loop to be able to have something to say about it. But the fact that you didn't have anything to say about it until, that's gotta be resolved. That's a major issue. That's almost as bad as the bridge being held up.
Well, you make some valid points, and we appreciate your comments. We're here to listen.
I appreciate you letting me be here. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome to be here. I realize we're way off the rails here as far as time, but I think what we went through this morning is important. Listening, maybe something will happen that we can get
I
on
hope so.
better footing with the county. I do feel that the county is obligated to support this board.
The unfortunate part is it's gonna take time to get the new bridge in. That means I gotta watch kids go across. What I didn't tell you, people coming into this town for the first time, stop on that bridge and take pictures. Automobiles now blocking traffic in both directions. That's not acceptable.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't know where we're at on the agenda. I
Let-
think we've actually covered some of it.
Yeah, we've kind of done a little jumping. I suppose we had like our follow-up discussion with the county commissioners and we had the public comments. So then, next on my list is review the draft bylaws, if you guys want to do that. And then followed by the membership of soil conservation position.
Do you have anything else other than the bylaws?
Then there's the Swallow Bridge replacement hearing, just like notification about that. And then,
Oh, how about the Garrett County active and alternative transportation master plan? Do you have information on that? too?
that's my work. That was my like idea.
Can you hear a little of that?
Yeah, so can we go to E, the Oakland to Harrington Manor State Park feasibility study first? So I put in a grant for Bikeways to do a feasibility study, so like start from scratch. How to connect Oakland to Harrington Manor. And I plan to like keep this board informed. I have Bikeways funding. I'm waiting for my EARC funding as the match for that to come through. Hopefully it'll be available this spring and we'll have some kickoff meetings, either late spring, early summer. So I'm going to keep you guys informed on that. So I'm excited. And maybe then if there's a path to get us to Oakland Harrington Manor, I'll get like design and like engineering funding and construction funding for that moving forward. So that's the update on that.
Is there any plans, bike trail plans in the wild portion of the corridor?
Not for that specific project. We can go to the active and alternative transportation master plan talk now if you want to. So in terms of that, like, because of the snafu with the Yauk River, like trail money and like the lack of any public, meetings or other than like the vague Garrett Trails plan from 2011, like, you have this big yellow swath that kind of goes down the corridor. There's no county endorsed like bike or ped or water trail plan besides like our Parks and Rec plan. So I was hoping to get some funding for like a comprehensive inventory and then look at the water trails, the bike and pedestrian connections and ORV and kind of create like a list of prioritized projects for Garrett County that we can approach, but then have lots of public outreach and kind of where's this trail alignment supposed to go? What's the character of it, and vet all that. So then, go through the proper process and then we actually that and also kind of look how we fit into the regional network as well as like connect, Friendsville to Accident or Oakland to, all the other towns. So
Is there anything on paper where they are thinking about or proposing any kind of trails in the wild.
No, well, if they have in the wild corridor, I think we should follow the management plan. And in that case, the only thing we allow is footpaths.
Okay.
Like I,
Wanted to hear,
okay, well, let me make sure that we should be consistent with the management plan and only do footpaths. Like everything else is prohibited. So if there would be any, or it could be a water trail, which it is a water trail, so. But yeah, so I requested some federal earmarked money for the active transportation plan. I feel like that's kind of my shot in the dark. I'm looking to apply for a Safe Streets for All, the grant for the county to look at this and also other corridors for safety and reduced deaths, like for vehicles and all these modes of transportation. So I'm gonna try to squeeze that project in that grant application, but I don't know, it'd probably be 2 or 3 years before I actually see any funding from those earmarks if I get them. So anyway, I'm happy to I will keep you posted. Yeah.
I think we beat, some of these to death here, not beat them to death, that's not correct, but I think we've had some input that needed to be input on, Senate bill and the bridge, personal feelings. You know, something I'd like to point out is this board is made up of people from across the county. And, you know, we are trying to do the all. But, you know, it isn't going to be, things that happen are not going to make everybody happy, that's for sure. You know, we're here, we want to let people sound their feelings and maybe people that have control, our commissioners have a lot of control on what happens. You know, we have these zones in the corridor, zone 1, 2, and 3, and unfortunately for some of the things to consider and what makes it a little tough on the bridge, it's in one of the most restrictive parts of the management plan in the wild portion of the corridor, being zone 1. So, you know, that's something that kind of it's out there, but people don't see it. You know, I don't think, you know, that's where a lot of the problem lies, and you know, what the concerns are. Another thing is, as far as this board having any bearing on anything, I noticed online on Facebook, keep Wild Yak Wild, there's over 300 people that are following that. And back in the day, when the yacht corridor was being developed, there was a property owners association, and I think we got up to like 600 members. And there was a newsletter, I'm telling you, that had quite an impact in the county. So people pay attention to that. It had some definite, you know, 300 people, 600 people in this county voting makes a difference, big difference. So, you know, I think people will hear us eventually. That's my skill there. We had, the draft bylaws. I don't think we're going to give it justice today.
That's fine. We have a lot, like, it's already 10:10, so understandable.
Beat that to death. I think we're not far off the mark as far as what was established in 1986. It might need a few tweaks, but it's pretty close. I think everybody probably has access to a copy of that. We have a membership. That's something that we're going to have to address the county. Soil conservation. The members.
Our board, the board of supervisors for the New York Soil Conservation District, would like to provide recommendations to the board of commissioners for appointment, not finished, replace,
Yeah, we have a board meeting, next week, and we can provide that recommendation to the.
That'd be great. We've always had those positions filled way back forever, so, you know, we need that position. I think
Do we
pretty much-
want to make a motion to, you know, push that recommendation forward to the commissioners, or?
Yeah, that would be staying here.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the commissioners, you know, consider the recommendations from the Soil Conservation's Management Board for replacing Willie Lance.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Randy? I know
Yes,
you
sir.
had, I know you had concerns about this meeting going on and listening a lot. I think, I know you wanted to move on and maybe we could address some of this other stuff, but I quite frankly feel that all that we heard this morning was important. And I hope I did.
You know, Don, I didn't want it to sound that way at all. In order for, it's just my opinion, in order for us to be effective, that we first, and all of us want to know, at least I do, want to know from whence our authority comes. If we're an advisory board, and that's what we are, we're constituted, but it seems right now, for whatever reason, let's call it because we didn't meet for so long, that I'm not sure whose ear we have. The commissioners think we appoint you. And it's nice you send us some recommendations, but we think your advice or advisory and whatever you think needs to go to DNR. Don't report to us. So, and kind of with Sierra, if we get into some type of a review and an update of the management plan, maybe we can get some buy-in from both DNR and the commissioners as to what our role is and again, how we're constituted, and because I think and want to be effective. I've served on many boards, and I think advisory boards can be effective, and I want to be effective. But until we have somebody's ear and we get buy-in, we had the Deputy Secretary Petito say, well, we're not sure you have any authority and that you're constituted, to kind of paraphrase from memory. And, the county commissioners, yeah, we appoint you, but we think you make your recommendations to DNR, who controls the corridor. So I think we need to think about how do we become a trusted source, a trusted advisor to the people that have the power, i.e. the commissioners and DNR. And again, I think that I'm more of a, we started out, one of the first things in the bylaws is we're going to follow Robert's Rules of Order. And when we have a meeting and there's open discussion and things, again, I find that when we have freewheeling discussions in the public comment period, that while very useful and we gain insight, don't accomplish our mission and the stated mission and agenda of the meeting. That's all. My piece said.
Thank you. I think you made some very good points, man. And I'm sure we all respect your thoughts. So, well, yeah, we need to work towards the points that you made. and have, I guess, this morning was a little unique, I think, in the fact that Larry came by and Commissioner Mitchell came by.
I think it was, and I appreciated that, and for the first time, we had articulated directly by the commissioners to this board, where they think our place is.
That doesn't seem like too much of a place, in my opinion, right now.
Well, and so again, my comment is, how do we get, through an update of the plan, how do we get the stakeholders, or the powers that be to view us as trusted advisors and want us to comment and advise. That's a marketing plan.
Okay. All right, well, listen, updating the plan. That, again, I have mixed feelings about that. I think it's important. I think it ought to be, there ought to be a list of what you want to update. And something else I'd like to request from Sierra, and maybe Chad could help. I think this board should have their own copy. If they don't have a good copy, I think this board, we don't get any pay, we don't get anything out of doing this other than trying to get things out there in front of the public. I think every member in this board should have one of those books.
I can do that. And I'd like to provide you guys a copy of like the regulations and the law. I know they're in the management plan, but make sure the regulations are updated because they were changed.
Right.
So.
Okay. Me, before we get a book now, I think we should have what's there now.
Oh, I want to get you, I can get you a binder with all of that.
Yeah, yes.
I think that's reasonable.
It's available online, but.
No, I like a scribble. Excuse me, copy to scribble and it's handy. Yeah.
It appears, and I'm not a politician, it would be simple, I think, to fix anything that any entity wanted to do with into the Yup River, come to this board before it goes to any other entity. It seems like a very simple solution to the problem. My first line being here, and I'll be honest with you, I think you're looking on the problem after the problem. I think it's been through 40 reviews before you get to it. It gets to you. You should be number one on the list. If it affects the quarter, it seems so simple to me. Fix that. I don't know who the first party in line for a bill is, but that party ought to direct the documentation to you for approval beforehand.
Or at least to discuss. Thank you. And we wanna, I guess, pretty much close this out here, but, you make good points. We appreciate it. And I think we've been, I sat on the board for 10 years, 86, 96. We had a lot of open discussions like this. Maybe that's why it took 10 years, but anyway, it's
Be
good.
willing to bet if you're being blindsided by a bill like this, raising and lowering the level, so are the county commissioners, so is any other party.
Well,
It went through some bureaucracy to get to the point to becoming after the fact.
okay, well, listen, where are we at?
I guess we need a next board meeting date.
So what are the plans here?
I'm not sure. I guess like if we want, I don't know,
When are you coming back to town, Randy?
I don't know. June. June, maybe.
Huh?
June, maybe.
Oh, okay. All right. I think we ought to meet before June. Yes.
Do you want to have like, say, a May meeting and maybe something we can put on the agenda is I'll get you guys copies of the management plan and maybe we can create that list of sections we want to update. Like, I feel like that's some work we
Yeah.
can advise and also like, I don't know.
Opening up the whole management, that's just, that.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so.
We need to have down the address. So,
I don't disagree with that, because I mean, so much of it is like study information, and inventory, which probably, it would be nice to have that updated too, but maybe there's a better way to, update a section or two in terms of cooperatively managing the corridor or, that, or recommendations of what you can and can't do.
we have a little bit of it. Roy, so maybe he could help us with some of the boilerplate things that we need to go in an update. Like, anyway,
We can ask.
I think we, can we meet them up? I think that way we
Keep it,
can stay on top of things.
okay. Let's see here.
What? Is Wednesdays a better day than maybe Thursday?
That, the Thursday, I just, there was a conflict with the liquor board meets at 9 AM on like the third Thursday. So as long as it's not the third Thursday, we're probably more available, but I have now a calendar to this room, which helps, so.
April 11th is a Thursday. That would give us time after the hearing on the 2nd to
Yeah, that was,
figure out some of that information. We should have a ruling by then.
yeah.
Yes, April 11th, the next meeting. One of us getting off the way.
It looks like the room's available, but I'll confirm that. Would you guys like to meet someplace else or shall we meet here or?
I think this is probably pretty good. If you can do
It's
it.
really convenient for me, so.
Yeah.
Getting the light, please.
So April 11th, 9 AM. All right, sounds like a tentative day.
I think we'll,
One thing we can, I'd like to add to that meeting is something to consider, but I know that the trail, the Continental Divide Trail was shut down, but it did bring to light something that's very important. I mean, the upcoming whitewater season is going to start on April 15th or so. And there is a trail that goes from Friendsville up to Kendall. It's pretty well maintained. Water that the state parks into through in there about once a month to cut trees on. But the railroad grade continues all the way up about 7 miles to a spot we call National Falls. And for reference point for rescue or any kind of evacuation, there needs to be a little bit of effort put in, not to make it a huge paved footpath, but just to have a crew go in and clean some of the logs. There's a lot of big fallen logs that have fallen across the trail, making it really hard if you had to backboard somebody out of there. And I'm not sure how you feel about it, but personally, I think the trail needs to be upgraded enough so that you could at least just walk a backboard out if needed. And it would involve not any kind of big operation, but it is a matter of clearing some of the deadfall across the trail. There's a few spots where creeks have been, gone wild with high water and created big erosion ditches that could be rocks put in there or something just to help get across. But not anything major, but just some kind of effort to make the trail accessible in case of an emergency. A few years ago, a lady drowned on a raft trip, and it took forever to get rescue personnel down into the spot where she had to be evacuated from. And that would have all taken a lot less time if they could have just gone through the train grade. This part of the accepted principles for our practices for hiking in the corridor. But again, the trail needs to be just,
Is this all statement?
it's all within the corridor.
Is it all statement?
Yeah.
Right
They
now,
did-
they're coming on private property.
Pardon?
Roger, right now, they bust a lock that goes on to my house, where they go on to Coddington's property. There's no access to the river. Very little, Roger, you know, and I've had the state police helicopter land in my field, to pull a body out, and I don't know how many years ago it was. But the most recent one was within the last year.
Well, no, it was about 3 years ago.
3 years
Right.
of death, but we had a lady pulled out in this year. That they had to go through Coddington's property, and I don't know how they got down there, but it was very difficult. They had to use ATVs and so forth to get down there. And, you know, I think that suggestion is a great, as a property owner, I think it's a great suggestion.
Well, yeah, it's straight up the river. There's no, part of the process is they were confused as to where to go down.
Right.
And as John said, they had to cut a lock on his property, they cut a lock on Coddington's property, and eventually worked their way up. And then down through some old logging roads, had to have a chainsaw with the ATV to cut trees out of the way down to the river. That trail goes all the way up to the most, action part of the corridor. And really, what I was proposing to Roy was just improve the trail enough so that if you had like a one-wheel big Stokes litter, you know, 2 people could get a person out of there quicker than it took to drive up, cut lock, figure out how to get down to the lake. And fortunately, I mean, the lake, it wasn't drowning, so time wasn't really critical. But there are instances where people do get hurt, broken leg, or something like that, and time is of the essence.
We always talk, you know, during the initial development of the management plan, we always talked about access and, you know, it's something that I think we can talk about. And stay within the limits of the management plan. too.
Yeah, and again, it's a foot trail. Just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. It needs to have some push to get DNR and state park, because the Deep Creek Lake State Park manages the corridor to put some equity into it.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I make a motion to adjourn. Oh, no, do we want to do a public comment here at the
I
end
think
before we do?
We've had public comment.
I know, that's kind of been sporadic.
And with that, unless you got something new. Yeah,
Side issue,
yeah,
totally different. As a tourist, coming at you from that standpoint, kayaking on the Yuck River to get to my property. I have kayakers putting over on the bridge. I call it the Little Bridge, Oakland Bridge going into town. They put over at that bridge, start kayaking down. They get to the point, there's a dip, small waterfall, not the big one, small waterfall, 3-4 feet, that kind of thing. And I've had several people paddle back. One was a lady with a tube and an infant in her lap back to my place. And she didn't go over the fall. There was nothing to tell her that fall or rapids was there. But there's no information or control of kayaking beginning at that bridge, putting over at that bridge and going down and through. They eventually will cross under Swallow Falls Bridge and go to the big one. Maybe she doesn't know about, or they don't know about what that bridge and river really constitute, but it's a danger. I've taken people back to the point their put-in point, which is the bridge. That woman in the tube and the baby, I had the tube in the back of my truck and the baby in front. They had no idea, any information's put out on the characteristics of the river. Maybe the board ought to think about that.
Do you have anything wrong with it?
Yeah, that's a good point,
Yeah.
most people who whitewater kayak don't really do that section. They don't, if they're gonna go for the big action, you put in light of those Smiley Falls and the friends. That is a section of the yacht that does get floated and
Yeah.
run by more recreational floaters too, again, probably
All
not
of that.
realize.
The wild portion of the river from the bridge to my place and to the scenic corridor
Float.
is probably a mile and a half distance wise. But there is no
And that's a good point,
No,
because
no information available.
They
to
do have
those
this-
folks. Kayak.
they do have a big sign up at Sang Run, that says whitewater kayak foot in, and it explains that there are hazards and serious whitewater, something. That same similar sign could be put up at the bridge. You're talking about
88 bridge there in Omaha.
just
I-
below.
Person should be in a kayak with a baby.
No, I agree, you can't fix it.
I think they look at that and they think, this looks like an easy float and that'll take me down to the Swallow Falls Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty tame until you get.
Oh, there's some really big gravity, right?
Bill's property, the river is wide and it's calm and it's shallow.
Looks
And then
good.
as you get down towards my property down from Bill, it narrows in and you got the drops and you got the rapids.
They get past my house, they were entering the rapids.
The Hardy
And
winds,
that's gradual fall, but it appears to be.
the Hardy winds land on, come out on land and try and get down and then they come out up in on my field. And I've driven down there.
And we rescued our share of people, because a
Yeah.
lot of people go to Sang Run, they look at the river, it's flat, just flowing
Right.
ice. And you look at the river down in Brentsville, or the next take I was,
Right.
it looks the same,
Must all be
and
the
there's
same.
no idea what's in between.
I can understand
Yeah.
how each one
Yeah.
for
The
adults.
sign would help, that would certainly be something we should suggest to.
I think give Roy a call. That seems like it's something you could take care of.
Well, that could be pretty easy.
Mature people, it's not an issue. Grown ups,
Yeah, you just can't fix it.
young folks with kids sitting between their legs and their lap.
Good point.
Probably not
I hope you're listening, Roy.
That's happened more than one time. There's only maybe 30 kayakers a season going past my house that I see, maybe it's 60 or 80. I'm not watching the river.
Sure.
Okay, well,
It's
good
not
point, good point.
hundreds.
Okay. Where we at, guys?
I'll second Sierra's motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you on the 11th.
See everybody.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.